Hello Internet people, happy Vlogmas Day 2 and Friday Sews Eve. I thought I would have a little Friday Sews style catch up with you a day early because I've been a little MIA in the last few weeks. So today I'm going to tell you about what I've been up to, which is really more of a life update, and what I've got planned coming up sewing wise. So thank you as always to Jen from Today and Jen's Sewing Room for starting the wonderful Friday Sews hashtag, and make sure to check out all the other Friday Sews YouTubers tomorrow on Friday. And also for Vlogmas, I came up with the idea to use the hashtag sewvlogmas, S-E-W Vlogmas, so that it's easy to find all of the sewing related Vlogmases. So make sure to use the hashtag sewvlogmas to find other sewing related Vlogmases. And I've already been watching some of them, and it's making me so excited for this month. If you have a sewing related Vlogmas, feel free to use the hashtag so we can all find each other easily. Okay, so let's get into it. First, let's open day 2 of the Kylie and the Machine Advent Calendar. Spoiler alert, if you haven't opened your day 2, skip forward and don't spoil yourself. Okay, Advent Calendar, day 2. Let's see where day 2 is here. Oh, here it is. So Kylie and the Machine recommends using a stitch puller to open each window. So I'm gonna try that here. They actually made a whole video about how to open their calendars because it has this little piece here that you have to pop out so that the labels don't fall into other boxes or other windows. So you just pull that off. Oh, I'm ripping it. That's sad. Okay, but the most important thing. Okay, here's the day 2 labels. They say handmade. Well, a hand and then made, so handmade, in this gold glitter with a black background. It's really, really cute. So I think those will be very useful for a variety of garments. Okay, so what have I been up to? Well, I can tell you that I have not been sewing or making videos for YouTube. So instead of what I've been working on, this is gonna be more of a life update with some sewing related tidbits thrown in. My husband and I actually took some time and went to visit our parents. We haven't seen them since Christmas 2019. So it was definitely past due. We were going to go this summer, but it was kind of one thing after another, and we finally got a chance to see them after so long. So my parents and my in-laws live about a 14-hour drive from us, and they live about an hour and a half apart from each other. So it makes sense to kind of visit them all at the same time. We decided to drive down and take the cat with us so they could all meet their little grand kitty who we got during COVID. And both of us have been super intrigued by the hashtag van life thing that's been going around on Instagram for a while now. So we actually decided to try it out for the road trip and rent a van. I have to say it was a really cool and fun way to travel. It had a bathroom with a shower, it had a fridge, it had a queen size bed, it had a TV. It was basically like an RV, but it was a lot smaller and easier to drive. So we packed up the cat and we had ourselves a little adventure. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring my sewing machine with me, but I did pack myself a crafty project. You may or may not remember back in Vlogtober, I was talking about knitting these little pumpkins, and I didn't get around to it in October. So I decided to sew them in November since it's still kind of pumpkin season with Thanksgiving and everything. What better thing to do on a 14-hour road trip that ended up being 22 hours than knit a pumpkin? Plus I decided that if I finished it, I would give it to my mom. So, okay, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but part of the pattern is to attach a cinnamon stick with hot glue to the top for like the stem. And so I literally brought my hot glue gun, I plugged it into the van, and I finished my pumpkin. Let me show you a picture of that. I had to document it. It felt very like have glue gun, will travel, or something like that. But I'm sure I'm not the first person to craft in a van or an RV. So if you have, go ahead and leave me a comment. But anyways, I managed to finish the pumpkin and I gave it to my mom. and she thought it was very cute, and she was very impressed that I knitted it all by myself. And so anyways, that was great. Also sewing related, when we walked in for the first time and we were all reunited after all this time, one of the first things my dad said to me was that he liked my sweater. And I was wearing my polka dot toaster sweater that I made earlier this year. And now this is coming from a 75-year-old man who has literally no interest in fashion, does not care about clothes, never notices clothes. So of course I said, thanks, I made it. And he was so impressed. And it was just like the cutest, sweetest thing. And a couple weeks ago, Jen had suggested a prompt for the Friday Sewers that was about, it was something like your best compliment about your sewing, or something someone had said to you about your sewing. And I can say that this might be one of mine. My dad just looked so proud and in disbelief that I made my sweater. I mean, he could believe that I made the sweater, but he was just like shocked that, wow, that you made that, you know? And so that combined with like the reuniting, it was just like such a nice moment. Anyways, so also while I was at their house, I was going through some stuff in the garage, and they have so many cool things. They have like lots of antiques and lots of interesting things. And I found a book that I wanted to show you guys. It's this Encyclopedia of Needlework by Therese de Dilmont. And my dad said that he picked it up a couple years ago or at some point at a flea market or a thrift store or somewhere because he likes technical manuals. And I'm like, me too, but make them sewing and textile related. Like I have a whole collection of vintage sewing books and manuals that I love them. So anyways, he was sweet enough to give it to me, and it's a really, really neat little book. So it was originally published in 1886, and the author was an Austrian needle worker and a writer who grew up in Vienna, and she became famous for her association with DMC, which you might be familiar with. DMC is a brand that's still around. It's a very popular brand of embroidery floss. You've probably seen it around. And so her and her sister initially opened an embroidery shop in Vienna, but she actually ended up moving to Switzerland in 1884, where she started working with DMC, and she wrote a lot of books and pamphlets for them about embroidery and needlework and things like that. So the Encyclopedia of Needlework was first published by DMC in French, and since then it's been translated into 17 languages. And it's known for being kind of the gold standard for like the history and practice and teaching of needlework techniques. And she wrote additional pieces for DMC, but this is really the most popular one. And DMC also opened a number of embroidery shops under her name in a bunch of European capital cities, Paris, Berlin, London, probably Vienna as well. So this book is really interesting because it's strongly geared towards technique and how to produce various types of textiles. It's very, very detailed, very, very technical, very complete. And just looking through it, I feel like I could actually follow the directions and like make something out of it using the instructions. It's really, really interesting. So I thought I would give you a quick look inside since we are sewists, and you might also be interested in other types of needlework. But if you're not interested, feel free to skip forward, use the chapters of the scroll bar, and move on to my sewing plans. So let me set up the camera so you can get a better look at what's inside. Okay, here is the Encyclopedia of Needlework. I'm just gonna do a quick flip through of it. You can actually find copies online of this book. I guess it's probably not copyrighted any longer, so there's like full versions of it on the internet if you're interested in finding, or you're interested in looking through it more. But you can see this page has DMC printed because it was originally printed by DMC, and it just has so many different types of needlework. And it starts off with the plain sewing, which I think is kind of funny. And she talks about how, you know, the basis for all needlework is plain sewing. She talks about, you know, how you should hold your hands and your body and needles, your tools, etc. Embroider upon white stuff. There's tons of diagrams. This is linen embroidery, applique work. You can see there's so many different diagrams. There's a chapter on knitting. There's a chapter on crochet. There's actually a chapter on macrame, which I didn't even know that macrame existed in the late 1800s, but there you go. All this information about crochet work, Tons and tons of diagrams. Oh, look, there's the macrame. How pretty is that? So pretty. Let's see what else. More macrame, netting. There's also a lot of different types of needlework from different parts of the world that she talks about. Let's see, embroidery laces. Yeah, really, really informational. I think it'd be really cool to make something out of this book. Lace, I don't know what, because I mean, I haven't really gotten into needlework that much except for crochet and knitting, and then obviously garment sewing. I haven't really gotten into lace making. Let's see, needle made laces, pillow laces. That probably doesn't even exist anymore. Maybe somebody out there does it, like some sort of heritage thing. Anyways, yeah, lots of different things. I thought that let's see, tapestry. Anyways, there's the knitting. I'm sure some of you might be interested in the knitting section, but she talks a lot about how to knit and different types of knitted lace. She talks about socks, I saw at some point. Anyways, and then in the back, there's actually, there's all her other works listed in the back, all the other works that she wrote for DMC. And then there's tables of DMC colors, and I was kind of curious if they've kept their colors the same all these years. Probably not, but it would be interesting to go look at the embroidery floss colors that DMC puts out these days and maybe compare it to these colors and see maybe some of the numbers are the same. That would be kind of cool. Anyways, I'm sure they've overhauled it at this point, but anyways, so yeah, really, really interesting, really cool little old book. It's in really good condition except for this back cover binding is a little broken, but other than that, it almost looks like it's never been used. So maybe I'll be the first one to use it someday. Maybe it'll be a good project for the new year. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look through this little book. I know this is kind of a quick flip through, but it's pretty intense, so we don't have time for that here. So anyways, let's get back to the Friday Sews programming. So that is a wrap on the life update, what I've been up to, history lesson. So let's talk about what is coming up. Aside from the fact that I'm doing Vlogmas, I have 2 holiday related projects that I'm planning on making this month. Fingers crossed that the fabric for them comes in time because I bought both of them over Black Friday. And we all know shipping has been kind of weird and slow lately. So anyways, both projects are actually hashtag challenges that are holiday related. So that's very exciting. First, the hashtag Little Red Dress project that Renata from the Twilight Stitcher is hosting. If you haven't heard about this one, the main idea is to sew a red dress for the holidays. And I have nowhere to wear a red dress this holiday season. I don't really have any plans at this point, but YOLO, you know, my husband and my cat can enjoy it. So I decided that I wanted to make McCall's 7974 out of a crepe back satin. I bought some crepe back satin on fabric.com. And funny story, I actually bought the same fabric a couple of years ago for a project, and I didn't like it so much that I actually returned it. Like, who actually returns fabric? So against my better judgment, I decided to rebuy it for this project, question mark. And I know that fabric.com has pretty fast shipping, so that's why I decided to just buy it, because I was worried if I bought it from someplace else, it wouldn't come in time. So anyways, sounds a little dicey, but it is what it is. And maybe the fabric supplier has changed in the last couple years. And so, well, we're just going to go with it. It was pretty inexpensive and it is returnable. So if it's absolutely horrid, I have an exit strategy. Except then I won't have any red fabric for my dress. But anyways, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. So because I chose crepe back satin, I'm contemplating playing with the idea of mixing the textures from the front and the back, since one side is satiny and then the other side is like crepe, so it's like a little duller. And then since the pattern has like a bodice piece, midriff, sleeve, the sleeve has a cuff and a skirt, I thought there was enough pieces to maybe play with using the contrasting fabric. And I was also thinking of covering my own buttons for it, maybe also playing with the contrasting textures and using like the opposite side to whatever I use for the bodice. But I'm not really sure yet. I guess it kind of depends on what the fabric looks like when it gets here. So I'm working on the muslin test fit of the 7974, and I'm hoping to make another muslin comparison video for one of my Vlogmas days, since it's really fun to kind of see the different fits as it evolves. So that is my plan for the little red dress project. The second project is for hashtag I'm So Festive, hosted by Simply Delilah and Gaddy Sews. And for this one, the main idea is to choose a novelty holiday print and make something out of it. Now, I love a novelty print, and I feel like there aren't enough occasions for a novelty print. For example, my Halloween peppermint peplum top. So I'm super excited for this one, and I chose a very festive double brush polyester from So English. Again, fingers crossed that it comes in time, and I'm planning to make another version of the Pattern Scout Comfy Lounge Set. I made a shorts and a long sleeve top version back somewhat recently, but I was thinking that since it's December and it's a little colder, I would make a long sleeve and pants version for Christmas. So also, I am definitely going to do a lettuce edge hem on them like I did in the last version. I bought some woolly nylon for it, and in my lettuce edge hem tutorial, I just used like the regular maxi lock thread since that's all I had. But I've heard that using woolly nylon for lettuce edge hems makes it a little fuller and just a little bit better looking. So I'm really excited to try that and see how it comes out. The background of the fabric is navy blue, but I bought white woolly nylon since like I'm not really in the business of like collecting lots of colors of like this more expensive thread. I thought white would be more versatile for like future projects. So I'm hoping that it will be like a cute contrast lettuce edge hem and not like a not cute contrast lettuce edge hem. So those are my upcoming plans in terms of holiday sewing. And I'm thinking that those plus Vlogmas are going to eat up most of my time this month, but if not, I still have some projects on the back burner from my fall fabric haul to work on. The McCall's overalls dress, the True Bias Marlowe sweater. There's always another project to do. So I'll be keeping pretty busy. All right, so I think that's all I have for you today on this Friday Sews Eve, and that is a wrap for Vlogmas Day 2. So I hope you enjoyed this catch up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 3.